I could probably make a list of 100 albums and then be happy with, like, including everything that I liked this year. But, like, I feel like I would struggle even with 50 because I would feel like I would have some glaring omissions. Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music and our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And today we are wrapping up the year. If you're listening to this episode the day it comes out, it is New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to everybody listening, or happy actual New Year if you're listening after that, because it'll be 2026. As such, today we are kind of looking back on 2025 in music, in kind of the broader music scene, and we're also going to talk about our top 10 respective albums of 2025. Yeah, I don't know. Troy, how do you feel 2025 went overall for you?
Well, it went badly in some ways, politically, socially, on the world stage. Seems like not great. Personally, it was pretty good. I now have 2 children, which I only had 1 at the beginning of the year. So that's been quite a fun adventure. No, I mean things have been good generally. On the personal front, I think on the music front, really, really good. We'll talk a lot about that, obviously, as we go through our albums. But I had some years I like kind of struggle to fill out a top 10. I'm like, I don't know if I really cared about this album that much, but it seems good, so it's going here. This year, I was trying to jam 15 albums into my top 10.
Yeah, I had that exact same problem. It was maybe closer to 25. Trying to slam them in, but yeah, I feel like I had a similar problem last year, insofar that like I don't feel like I had like I feel good about where my list ended up for the most part, but like I don't feel like my number one is a number one with a bullet. It's more like, yeah, this was a really great album in a field of great albums that all of which I would like to talk about, but there's far too many of them to do that, which is why I'm glad that we do the recommendations at the end of the podcast, because that kind of fills in some of those gaps for me, at least, because I feel like I've covered a lot of stuff that I really liked and weirdly did not make my list.
What was your 2024 number one? Was it the Leah Cole album?
It was that Leah Cole album, yeah.
Okay. You stand by that?
I think I do. I think my only big complaint about I need to like really relook at the list, but as I remember it, I last minute put Foxing at number 10. That album should have been higher. That album should have been way higher on my list in retrospect. But by and large, yeah, the Leah Cole album was a really big one, and I think that a theme of like some of my top albums of this year is bands and artists that I already liked and respected, like doing the best version of what they do, whereas the Leah Cole album was an album that like kind of made me think about music differently, in a way that like I wasn't sure I could be swayed to do these days. So yeah, I think I really still do stand by that one. How do you feel about your list from last year at this point?
I mean, my number one was the Maxwell Stern record, In the Good Light, which I absolutely stand by as my favorite of the year.
For sure.
I'm looking at it now. I mean, I actually think I would maybe move a few things around, but I actually listened to a lot of these albums, Aaron West, Max Seal, Knocked Loose, Bleachers, Los Campesinos, Waxahachie. Like, I listened to this stuff throughout 2025 as well. So I think this is my 2024 list pretty good. I mean, yeah, like I said, I changed a few things around, but not too bad. I look back at some of my other ones and I'm just like, what was I thinking? I have not heard this album or thought about this band in the 6 years or whatever since I made the list. So I think this one will hold up a little bit better, and I'm hopeful that my 2025 list will too. I really think I really did kind of put stuff that I loved on there. What about you? Like, how was your year? Thoughts on the scene, where the music is at, everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of with you on the globally. Things aren't great at all. Here in the United States, Also, likewise, not great. The two are interrelated in many, many, many ways. But personally, I I think this year went pretty well. Would have I would have liked to have made slash released more music, but I say that to myself every year. I did put out
Same.
something this year. I joined another band. So like things are looking up on that front, and I'm excited about things that are coming up as a result of that. Um, but yeah, like just in terms of like sheer volume of good music released, like I'm at a point where I'm like I listened to at least 150, 175 albums this year, and I would say I enjoyed most of them. Like, not in the like slightly more than 50% way, like probably closer to like 80% to 90% of stuff I threw on, I found something to enjoy. If not like thoroughly enjoy. Which is nuts.
Do you think just at this point in your life you have a better filter or a better gauge of like I think I know what I'm gonna like, or I'm mostly exploring in scenes that I am familiar with, that like that you get such a high hit rate?
I think that might be part of it. I think another part of it is that like I feel like I have a pretty wide scope of things that I just like am inclined to enjoy. And like I tend to focus on that kind of stuff as opposed to like, branching out a little more into genres that I'm less familiar with. But like when those kind of things do hit, like I feel as though I tend to appreciate those things and like probably should take that as an indication that I should dive deeper. Like every once in a while, like I got shown a like really cool jazz record like the other week, and I was like, oh, like I think I love this Arabic jazz record, and I should probably listen to more of that. And I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I should, because that's awesome. That's a new lane of music for me to enjoy.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm always that way with jazz, especially. Like I played a lot of
Right.
jazz growing up, and I always feel like I should be listening to more of it, but there's so much coming out all the time, and it is hard to follow.
Yeah, it really is. I think that's kind of applicable to quite literally any genre, especially nowadays with, I say nowadays as if recording hasn't been accessible for the last couple of decades, as far as like every computer comes with something you can record into, or hell, every phone. So like there's just a monumental volume of music coming out and a monumental amount of quality music coming out.
Yeah, for sure. So this was also the first, well, obviously the first full year that we have been doing this podcast. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and just kind of looking back at the series that we did this year: Rilo Kiley, Paramore, Rise Against, My Chemical Romance, Hotelier, The Armed, Bright Eyes. Do you have a particular kind of favorite looking back on these episodes? Anything that you had a lot of fun with, especially, or felt like you really discovered something?
I'm going to start with the kind of cop out answer, which is I feel like everything we did this year kind of either rekindled a love for a band that I already liked or deepened that. I felt that way, especially about, I mean, MCR is an easy get for me. I've always loved that band, but like, and I didn't think that I could like really appreciate them more than I already did going into that series, and I came out the other end like even more of a fan. Kind of same with Paramore. I will say I think doing the Armed series was maybe my favorite. Insofar that like they were a band that I liked but hadn't really gone deep on at any point in my life, whereas I think most of the other bands we covered this year kind of did fall into that category, except maybe Rilo Kiley, like because I hadn't listened to the early stuff quite as much. But yeah, like Paramore, Rise Against, MCR, I was a Bright Eyes. I was obsessed with those bands at some point or another in my life. Whereas The Armed, I've been like kind of on the periphery, and diving in, I think really gave me a new appreciation for them, which we'll talk about at some point in this podcast.
Yes, we will.
What about you? Where do you feel like where do you feel things hit for you the most with us this year?
I mean, I loved all of these series, obviously. I think I had maybe the most fun with the Rise Against series,
Okay,
because
yeah.
those albums really do the later albums, their later career really does have such a bad reputation that it was fun to see which of those I could reclaim a little bit. And kind of find something to like or maybe even love in some cases, and which albums are unreclaimable. Sorry, Wolves, never gonna listen again if I don't have to. But I also they were the only band that we covered that released a new album this year outside of The Armed, which we had kind of planned. Uh,
Yeah.
but so yeah, and I think that doing that Rise Against series and going back into the back catalog, I think set us up well to have both a bit of an appreciation and a bit of an increased exasperation with Ricochet when that came out, which I think you can
Yeah,
hear on our episode and our discussion of that, especially the politics around the album.
for sure. Yeah, I don't feel. I'm not sure how my relationship to that album would have been different had we not gone into it just having gone through the entire catalog. Um, I don't think I would have liked it much more, but I feel like I would have been willing to give it more of a pass, based on, just where I was at before we did that series.
Right. And then, I mean, with the features here and everything needs to be destroyed, again, now we will talk about more momentarily. I think that, for me at least, going through the ARM discography for the first time, leading right up to it, made me realize even more how impressive of a record it is.
Yeah, that really, I think made that album hit harder for me than it even would have just independent of that. And that was an album that I was clearly I was already very excited about it. It's kind of half the reason I wanted to do the series.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like really digging into the entire discography leading up to that, especially with that album being what it was. We did a whole episode about it, but TLDR, for me it feels like it is just kind of a here's everything we've done well so far in one nice compact package. And that I think really made it hit, that it was one like that, and two got released right around the time that we were finishing up that series.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I is scrolling back through the episode list of what we've done. It's been a blast doing this show with you every week this year. It's been so much fun, and I'm so excited to keep doing it next year.
Yeah, this is legitimately a highlight for me every single week. I fucking love doing this.
Same. All right, should we do the list? Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into them. I'm gonna go
All
ahead
right.
and start if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I think looking at our list, I think we're gonna have a lot to say about your number one that we haven't said yet.
Right.
All right, so my number 10 is an album. People who have been looking at our Instagram story may remember that I mentioned that one of us may or may not have swapped out their number 9 and number 10 today. And that was because I sat down and thought long and hard about my initial list, and I realized that I need to be a little more realistic with myself. So number 10 for me is an album that almost made both my Q1 and mid-year lists. There was no Q3 list because no podcast does that, especially not podcasts that we are running or friends with.
Q3 is just too close to the end of the year.
It's way too close to the end of the year. It would throw my entire game off. But anyway, sorry. Actually getting to it, my number 10 is the album Out Moon by Black Taffy. Black Taffy is a producer who, for lack of a better way of putting it, makes kind of lo-fi beats, which I realize many people are signing off right now, throwing their headphones across the room. But Black Taffy is a really, I honestly think, great producer. I found out about him originally through a tape he made called 6 Arrows for one of the dragons in Zelda. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now. But he played. He's been doing this for quite a long time. And he played during COVID. The Legend of Zelda. Not Skyward Sword. Oh my God, why can't I remember? Breath of the Wild. And he was so taken by just kind of the atmosphere of the game and obviously the music, and all the references to Koji Kondo's work in that music, plus everything that got added by the composers who worked on that actual game. And he was like, I want to mess around with this in kind of the way that I work with music. And it's a really, really cool little EP of music. Like, you can kind of recognize the source material, but it really feels like it's been, kind of put through this person's, personal music making machine, that being a sampler, because that's how you do that kind of thing. But like, I think every single person who makes music like this cites Jay Dilla as a influence, but I feel like I really hear it with him. Like, his stuff is really original, like stands out from the slop you're finding on YouTube. The things you would hear every 20 minutes on the Lo-Fi Girl channel. It's got this like darkness to it that I don't feel like a lot of producers making this kind of music have. I think it's just really neat. It does help that he has the backing of Leaving Records, who are a really cool, like, experimental and ambient label out of California. But yeah, Out Moon by Black Taffy, a really cool record that I feel I have finally given its due.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of this today, and I really liked it. I totally agree with what you said, that it feels like it has a little more maybe personality to it than a lot of the like lo-fi beats to study and chillax to or whatever playlists. Like, I think it is, that is one of the one of my favorite books of the year, Mood Machine by Liz Pelly, one of the most AI-ified genres out there, and like it's easy to make slop in that genre. And I really did feel like this album stood out in a way that a lot of that kind of background lo-fi music does not.
Yeah, it's hard to describe exactly what makes it feel that way, but like, yeah, it feels crafted. It doesn't feel like it was churned out.
Yeah, this was cool. I was happy to be introduced to this today.
Awesome. Hell yeah. All right, what's your number 10, Troy?
My number 10 is From Now On by Beauty School, a pop-punk band from Leeds in the UK. This was an album that I was turned on to because Dan Campbell, singer of the Wonder Years, has a guest feature on one of the songs called Reaper. And that song rocks, and the whole album really, really rocks. It is, it just feels like somewhere between kind of the mid-career, the Greatest Generation era Wonder Years, with a little more bite and grit, something along the lines of maybe a Polar Bear Club or something like that. They are just playing a type of pop punk that I think not a whole lot of currently active young bands are doing, and they do it really well. Their melodies are amazing, and I am very ready for this band to come to the United States and tour. I'm so excited to see them.
I am also very excited to see them. I listened to this after you recommended it one week, and yeah, it just rules. I feel like they probably rule live, and I hope we get to see them sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean they're an obvious pairing with someone like Anxious or Stateside, that sort of thing, which it'd be cool to see them together. I mean, a lot of these bands put out records this year, and I think this is the top of the heap. I think they're kind of a cut above even a band like Anxious, who I really like. All right, what is your number 9?
My number 9 is AFI's Silver Bleeds the Black Sun. I've talked about this a little bit on this podcast, so I'll try to keep it brief here. But AFI is a band that I have loved for a very, very long time. They're also a band that I fell off pretty hard for a little while around the Crash Love era. And then kind of everything that came out after that was, middling to for me at the time. I've since done a kind of discography run. In fact, I did that leading up to this album. And I feel like I like those, mid to late career albums a lot more than I used to. But I particularly was struck by like the last album they released before this was Bodies, which was a like them kind of leaning into their like more pop sensibilities, maybe even getting a little more goth rocky than they had before. But it also felt like it was, it felt like it was holding back a little bit. And Silver Bleeds the Black Sun is just like the goth rock album of AFI's dreams as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they really go all in on the sound on this one.
They do, and frankly, I really love it. Like, I feel like this is something they've wanted to do for a long time, and it shows. So like, yeah, the whole like the singles leading up to this, I had really loved, and I was really elated to find that like most of the rest of the album was like not the same as that, but like really kind of centering around that sound. With maybe the possible exception of the song "No One Underground," which is a little punkier, but either way, like still a great track, great album. Saw them tour on this record, and it was a great time. The new songs ruled live. But yeah, Silver Bleeds of the Black Sun.
Awesome. My number 9 is Better Days by Yellow Card. This is the first album Yellow Card has released since they got back together. Geez, was it 3 years ago now? I think it was 3
Something
years,
like that.
almost 3 years ago. I think 2022 was when they played Riot Fest. This is an album that it feels like a, just a real continuation of the most, I guess, popular Yellow Card sound. They're kind of their fast, melodic pop punk sound. They've had some left turns throughout their career. This is really not one of them. I think this is like straight down the middle what Yellow Card is great at. Produced by Travis Barker, who also plays drums on the album. And this album, I think the songs are great, but what really resonated with me, unsurprisingly, is that this is an album about becoming a parent. And because vocalist Ryan Key and his wife had their first child like 2 years ago, like right around the same time that that Lacey and I did. And there's so much about the anxiety of becoming a parent, the fears and hopes of what you'll pass on to your children is all over this record. And there's things that are like uncannily specific to me, to my own feelings, to my own life in this record. And so to hear that and then to get to see them kind of right at the end of this year was really special.
Yeah, that was a kick-ass show. And really, like, yeah, this record is great. The pairing of Travis Barker with this band like really kind of lights them on fire in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's just stellar. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it's a jam. Okay, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Ichiko Aoba's Luminescent Creatures. I don't think I talked about this record on this podcast. I did talk about it in the Q1 recap with like what you like. But Ichiko Aoba is a Japanese singer-songwriter who I've liked for quite a while now. And she has been she's come through the States a couple times in the last few years. And I've been lucky enough to get to see her the last couple times she's come through town, including on the tour for this album. The record is just this really serene, like gentle but haunting collection of songs that like she has this uncanny knack for writing these really like beautiful arrangements, but also like when she plays live it's just her, maybe a guest on occasion, and like so it's stripped down to just guitar or a guitar and maybe like a looped synth or something like that, and the songs just translate so well that like you can tell she's got that acumen for like either, I assume that like these are the forms that the songs started in, or that she's just really good at like writing reductions for songs that she has already like had all the way fleshed out. But yeah, I don't know. This whole record is like, it's cited as being a record for all of the creatures on Earth. There is I forget which track, but there is a track that ends with a just a frequency being played that like maybe only whales can hear. But it's in there.
Okay.
So it's not for you, it's for the whales.
That's cool.
But yeah, her last couple records have both been like kind of specifically aquatic in terms of like their kind of general themes and philosophies, as far as I know. But yeah, just a really beautiful record that stuck with me from all the way at the beginning of the year till now. So wanted to shout it out, Ichiko Aoba.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of it as I was catching up on your list, and I agree that it is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, what you got?
My number 8 is Through This Fire Across from Peter Balkan by the Mountain Goats.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 28th Mountain Goats record, something like that.
It sure is.
They've been going for a long time. And this is not a I wouldn't say this is a total left turn for them, but it is a conceptual musical about 2 or 3 guys who survive a shipwreck and are talking across a campfire on a beach where they are stranded. And it's just it should say a lot about the Mountain Goats that that's not a total left turn for them.
Right, yeah.
But love that band so much. But the thing that is kind of most interesting about this record is a part of it is the kind of musical, like stage musical construction of it. But I also think they've leaned more and more into Matt Douglas, their keyboard player's orchestrations on this record. We talked a little bit about this when I did it as a random recommendation. That it is it's a very lush album, especially for a Mountain Goats record. And I think John's lyrics and melodies are better than maybe not ever, but up there with his best recent stuff. And I found something new with this record every time I've listened to it, which is a high praise, I think, and also not something that every Mountain Goats record in the last 10 years I can say about.
Yeah, it's definitely a special one. It's one that I need to sit with a little bit more. I did really like it. I think like its musical theater tendencies are only enhanced by the presence of Lin-Manuel Miranda on occasion, who I think is great on this record. I'm not gonna be a hater about it. But yeah, I think you're spot on with kind of Matt Douglas's contribution, and I really think this is a huge standout in the Mountain Goats catalog, and I'm excited to see them kind of dabble in this arrangement style a little more.
Yeah, I assume you watched the Colbert performance from a week or two ago.
I haven't yet.
Oh my god. They do Cold at Night with a string section, and it's
Ooh.
unreal. It's one of the best Mountain Goats performances I've maybe ever seen, short of the one where Colbert does this year with them. But I am begging them to do a full tour with a string section next year.
That would be really incredible. I hope that happens.
Yeah. All right. What is your number 7?
My number 7, we're now at the part of the podcast where I have to say what the rules are.
Oh yeah, we actually overlap a little bit.
We do overlap a little bit. So just for everyone's edification, if you didn't listen last year, the way that we do this is if we both have an album on our list and somebody has it lower than the other person, we talk about it in the highest position on whoever's list it's on. That said, my number 7 is Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party by Hayley Williams, which we will talk about in a little bit. What is your number 7?
My number 7 is The Sound a Body Makes When It's Still by Hot Mulligan. Another sort of high profile pop punk release from this year. Hot Mulligan is a band that I've followed for basically since they started, because they would come through a lot and City Mouth would play with them. And this is kind of the culmination, I think, of they've shifted from being sort of what you would call, I guess, kind of straight up pop punk to something a little more, leaning into having 2 vocalists and getting a little bit screamier and a little bit more aggressive on a lot of their songs. And they've kind of found the perfect marriage of aggression and melody on this album, I think, as well as a couple of kind of programmed quiet interlude parts. And I mean, the most amazing thing about this record is that a song nearly made me cry, and then I looked at the song title and it was fucking Monica Lewinsky. So that's Hot Mulligan for you.
Yeah, there's some real banger song titles on this record.
Yes, there are.
It is a really good one though. I feel like you kind of nailed it. Like they've really kind of nailed the signature sound and have like managed to incorporate even more into it than they had on previous releases. I think this might be their best yet, honestly.
Yeah. I just think there's no ceiling for this band. Like, they just played 2, I don't think sold out, but like very well attended nights at the Salt Shed. They are playing Bonnaroo and are they playing Coachella also next year?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, they are big, and they're like the biggest band in the scene right now, and they're only getting bigger, and that's a crazy thing to think about.
It is. It's I'm excited to see where they go. Which is to say, they're gonna just continue skyrocketing from here, I imagine.
I'm sure they will. All right, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is another album that I have already talked about on this podcast, and that's Clipping's Dead Channel Sky. Um, my I've liked this album the entire year. I think it was on both my beginning of year and mid year check in. Um, I love Clipping. I think they're kind of the perfect combination of stuff that I'm into in terms of any given hip hop band out there. I did listen to an interview with Jonathan Snipes a little while ago that kind of like reminded me that I needed to go re-listen to this album, and it really still holds up. And during that interview, they were kind of talking about how this is their more or less most conventional album insofar that it has like drums that are actually drums on it and stuff like that, which I find very funny because like it does still have quite a bit of the like we're just gonna make some noise here because it would be fun to make some noise here. Daveed Diggs is in top form, both in terms of like his own original like kind of flow that he has, and kind of doing these really spot on homages to other greats in rap and hip hop over the decades. And I think it's like it almost suffers from being too long, but every single song is a banger. So like I can't fault it for that. I think that's kind of where I landed with my re-listens to Lifted earlier this year too. So seeing a theme here.
Yeah, even if it feels overstuffed sometimes, it does such a great job creating an atmosphere and creating a sense of place that I am like I don't get bored listening to it.
Yeah, it also like despite having a really like kind of wide sonic palette and like a number of things that they're just kind of trying on any given track, the whole thing feels like it is one entity in a lot of ways, despite really going a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Vaxis 3, The Father of Make Believe by Coheed and Cambria. This was number 4 on my mid-year, so it slipped just a little bit. This is yet another, big progressive conceptual chapter in Coheed and Cambria's, career-long saga. And this album feels like, and this is maybe going to be a theme on my end of the year on my list. This is a band this feels like a return to form for them. Not that I've disliked the other Vaxis records or what came before it. In fact, I think I like a couple of those records more than most people do. But this one just feels like they have found their way back to the sense of grandiosity and um at the same time very like affecting lyrics and incredible riffing, and they kind of found the balance again that they had on Good Apollo and on those early records. And I just think this ever another album that it's 80 minutes long or whatever, but every time I listen to it, I found something new to love or something new to be interested in. And then they put out a few B-sides at the end of the year that I think are like equally as good as a lot of what's on the album. So they're just in a good place in their career right now, I think.
That rules. I still need to check out those B-sides, but yeah, this album is just nuts. Which is maybe not an unusual thing to say for a Coheed album, but like I feel like they're back in a very real way if they weren't already. I also kind of wish I'd been on that cruise, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean the Thursday was on that, playing some deep cuts. Did you watch any of Claudio's Hardlore interview?
No, I haven't. I do want to go back to that one though.
It's very good, and there's just a great part where they like ask him about a breakdown, and he just like picks up a guitar, and it's like, oh yeah, this is we do this and this and this, and it's really fun to watch him just like shred on like an unamplified electric guitar.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, so great record for I think either for a longtime Coheed fan or someone who's kind of new to the band.
Hell yeah. I would also highly recommend that one for anybody who either fell off or isn't on yet.
Yeah. What is your number 5?
My number 5, I think was my number 2 mid-year. I got to double check. But anyway, it is Sable Fable by Bon Iver. A truly stellar comeback that people simultaneously didn't see coming and definitely saw coming. The release around this record was really weird. The Sable EP was put out sometime last year, and eventually like some videos started cropping up and some like mysterious posts started surfacing, which ultimately led to the announcement of this record, which comprised the 4 tracks from Sable, and then the rest of the album, which is Fable, released on 2 separate discs that are different RPMs, which is certainly something that you are allowed to do, I suppose, even
It's
though
awesome.
it should be illegal.
I love it.
No, it's great. I love it. I do own that record. I do spin it. But yeah, I just like, I love Bon Iver. Like I'm gonna be on board for pretty much anything Justin Vernon does for the most part. But I feel like a lot of people who really loved the first couple records kind of bailed at 22 a Million, and I don't think I brought them back or anything like that. But I do feel like this kind of serves as a really nice midpoint between weird experimental Bon Iver and like the folksy guy in a cabin that we all like loved back in the mid 2000s. And like normally that would feel like a weird compromise, but like Justin Vernon's such a good songwriter and arranger that like he knows how to rein all that stuff together without it sounding like, you know, he's not doing what he wants or he is trying to appeal to some particular sensibility. And yeah, like all these songs hit. The transition between the first bit and the second bit is like just smooth as hell, even though they are like in a weird way 2 separate entities. Yeah, also it was released on my birthday, so it felt like a nice little present.
Yeah. I to what you said about this being about it's maybe seeming like it should be a compromise, but it's not. Um, I think the tone of this record helps that a lot because
Yeah.
it's kind of the brightest, happiest that Justin has ever sounded on an album, both musically
Yeah.
and vocally. And that was like it was such a pleasant vibe every time I would put this on. And I think that there's an obvious sense of like he's doing exactly what he wants to do on the album. And like you can just hear it.
Yeah, I do think that is the biggest contributing factor here outside of just him being an incredible musician, which like that was there anyway. It could have been the saddest record on earth and it would have still been pretty good. But I do think that the general attitude and approach to it is kind of what pulls it together. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. My number 5 is Pruning of the Lower Limbs by Moving Mountains. This is the first Moving Mountains record in something like 12 years, I think, since they're self-titled. And this, I had, did not see this one coming at all. Just kind of assumed we'd never get another Moving Mountains record. What, 2-3 weeks before it was supposed to come out, one of those like Russian leak sites or whatever posted the artwork, and there was like a frantic scurrying among the fans, like, oh, is this real? Is this some other band? And it was very much real, very much Moving Mountains. And this album rocks. It is, again, kind of it feels like somewhat revisiting the sort of post rock, ambient influenced indie rock that they evolved into on their self-titled, but there's elements of Waves there. There's elements of Numa, their first record there. And it's, again, one of those records that feels like a culmination of everything I love about Moving Mountains. Just incredible songwriting, a band that has only gotten better with age.
Yeah, and again, like kind of having that culmination of all the things that you love about a band really, really hits sometimes. And yeah, this record just blew me away, honestly. I don't think I'm as into this band as you are, but I feel like I recognize how incredible this whole thing is.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few bands that I feel like I was sort of almost maybe not day one fan, but almost day one, like listening since the Numa days, and saw them play some very memorable shows in very small venues when I was in high school, and just memories that I hold very dear with this band.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. This is the one where like one of said small venues was literally a coffee shop, as I remember it.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. There's video of it. It's the sound quality is terrible, but it's filmed like directly over my shoulder, like I'm in a third person video game. It's kind of surreal to see now. But yeah, those shows are amazing.
Hell yeah. A band I have never seen and really would like to at some point.
Yeah, they seem like they're doing like a weekend every other month or something like that. So maybe they'll get to Chicago soon.
I hope so.
All right, what is your number 4?
It's another album we can't talk about yet. My number 4 is Law Disputes, No One Was Driving the Car.
Yeah, hold that thought for a few more minutes.
Can do. All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party by Hayley Williams. This album is I guess it's the third solo record from Hayley Williams of Paramore, who obviously we spent a lot of time talking about Paramore earlier this year, but didn't really cover the solo records. And then sometime in the middle of the summer, her website updated to look like a Windows 98 desktop computer, and it had 17 MP3s on it.
Yep.
And that was no track list, no organization to it. Just here's a bunch of songs, listen to them. And I never really seen an album released quite in this way. And it felt it felt to me like both like a weaponization of nostalgia for like a different way, a different era, a different time of discovering music. And also like it's an album that's very much about moving on. It's an album that's very much about processing like the end of something and the beginning of a new thing. And those two ideas together really really enhanced the listening of this record and made me keep coming back to it over the last few months.
Yeah, it's like the really creative rollout on its own would have been enough to like, pull people to Hayley Williams, but like the songs just were incredible to begin with, and it's wild that we got 17 of them right out the gate, and then there were 3 more, some of which are the best songs on the record.
Yeah.
Like it's absolutely nuts. I would always assume that Hayley Williams has great albums in her, probably many for the remainder of her days. But like to just have this drop out of nowhere, like really brought kind of that extra level of, oh my God, yeah, no, she's one of the greatest that we've got. Like, yeah, these songs are all like, I don't think I can find much fault in this album at all.
I could do without the Bloodhound Gang song, but other than that,
that's totally fair.
It says a lot about how much I like this record that even including that song, it's still number 4 on my list.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, these songs are by and large just, pristine, and not in like an over polished way, just in a like, yeah, no, like Hayley's a good ass songwriter, and no matter what form she's coming at us in, she's going to deliver something really cool.
Yeah, and once again, I will cite a TV performance. I think it was on Fallon. It was on one of the late night shows where she played the song "True Believer," and it's really a mesmerizing performance.
It's incredible. I cannot wait for this tour next year, in April.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. All right, what is your number 3?
My number 3 was my number 1 both at the end of Q1 and at the end of Q2. It is Macy Stewart's When the Distance Is Blue. I've talked at length about this record, so I'm just going to keep it brief. Macy Stewart, for anybody who doesn't know, is a Chicago musician, largely known for her work in the band Phenom, also a frequent collaborator with other folks in the kind of like experimental scene here in Chicago. But yeah, this record is just like really, really pleasing. It's got so much going on musically. It kind of marks a return to the piano as a primary instrument for Macy. When she's out collaborating with other folks, she's often playing violin, which she's incredible at. But if I remember correctly, piano was her first instrument, and this is kind of her re-exploring that in a lot of ways. There's also, a bunch of other arrangement stuff going on here. It's not just a solo piano record, but the piano stuff does really stand out. There's particularly a moment on one of the tracks where there is this really effective use of like the natural decay of a piano that has like the sustain pedal all the way down or the dampeners all the way off, and just like letting that decay and then just letting silence happen for a while after that. It is silence is underutilized in music in a lot of ways, and it really stands out when it's utilized effectively. But yeah, this is just a really incredibly put together record. I felt really lucky to get to see Macy perform most of this record at Constellation earlier this year, and it just kind of, like with many of the bands on this list, seeing the songs live kind of reaffirmed how great I thought the record was.
Yeah, I listened to this. I remember back when after our initial or our mid-year list, I think is a beautiful album.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Same Old Wasted Wonderful World by Motion City Soundtrack. This is another, what is this, the third reunion album on my list?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Motion City back from I mean, their hiatus was quite a while ago, but they are back with their full lineup for the first time on an album in a while. They've done some tours, some anniversary tours for Commit This to Memory. But this is an album that somehow manages to feel both like the Motion City soundtrack that I loved as a teenager, and at the same time, like they had to have aged 15, 20 years to make. I don't know how to explain that other than to say that it is very much an album about confronting your age and an album about wondering if your best days are behind you and what to do with those feelings, especially the title track which is also the closing track on the album. This ended up being my most played album of the year. I especially went back to Particle Physics, a song they co-wrote with Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy often. And yeah, I don't know. Everything about this record just feels so good to me.
Yeah, I re-listened to this the other day in preparation for this, and yeah, it really hits. It really is just kind of like this perfect intersection of the sound you've always loved from this band, but also, yeah, this is a record they could only write now. They couldn't have written it, but maybe they could have written it 5-10 years ago, but definitely not in the 2000s or anything like that. It's been 10 years since Panic Stations. In fact, it was almost exactly 10 years because that was
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and that was released September 18th, 2015, and this was released September 19th, 2025.
Man, I didn't even realize it was almost exactly 10 years.
I didn't either until just now, but that's absolutely nuts. But yeah, this is a really stellar record. I'm glad they're back in earnest now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to
really
catch them on the tour for this in February.
Nice.
They're playing a lot of the album, and I love that.
Yeah, that as well they should.
All right, getting into the home stretch. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is the album A Little Death by Claire Rousey. Yet another record that I have talked about on the podcast to some degree or another. And Claire Rousey is an artist that I talked about quite a bit last year around this time with her 2024 album Sentiment. This record closes out this kind of unofficial trilogy which it comprises of the records A Heavenly Touch, A Softer Focus, and this one, A Little Death. A Softer Focus is the record that got me into Claire Rousey. It's the record that got a lot of people into Claire Rousey. And she does a whole lot of different types of things, on any given album. Within the last couple of years, she's put out a whole bunch of mixtapes, a whole bunch of collaborations. Earlier this year, she did one with More Ease, who she also made a hyperpop record with a couple of years ago. Did a collab with Gretchen Korsmo that I also really loved, that just didn't make the list. And like this, I love all of it. Like, I'm very into pretty much anything that she does, but this kind of being a putting a nice little bow on this kind of arc that continues on from a softer focus was just really, really nice. It's got a lot of the classic Claire Ozzy touchstones, a lot of like voice memos and what are effectively answering machine messages, a lot of just small textural sounds. There's a fair amount of piano on this record. She performed a lot of stuff from this at, again, her show at Constellation, which included a grand piano, which was really cool because I had never seen her perform on piano before. I just knew that she could play it. And yeah, I don't know. I think Claire's probably one of the I don't want to overuse the word cool with reference to anybody, but I think she's one of the coolest musicians out there. And like, I'm going to be on board for pretty much anything she does, but like, I feel like this album like really hit the spot for me in terms of things that I enjoy from like this kind of corner of experimental music.
Yeah, me as someone who doesn't listen to a lot of ambient or experimental stuff, really found a lot of fascinating ideas in this album, especially a lot of the kind of voice memos or field recording stuff going on, and I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. I aspire to be able to do that kind of thing, and like tie it all together as well as she does.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 was my number 1 in the mid-year, so no surprise that it is up very high. This is The Quiet Year by Cesalo. Cesalo is a new band consisting of Rocky Vodolato from Waxwing, or more recently a lot of solo records, and Rudy Gadahar from Gatsby's American Dream, and I can't remember off the top of my head who the bass player is, but he's very good. But this album is a tribute, a eulogy, an exploration of grief. Rocky's child passed away tragically a few years ago, and this album is just about working through that and how do you deal with the loss of someone so close to you, particularly a child. And there are I mean, it's just all right there in the lyrics, but there's elements of this record that feel so personal. I said this before when I recommended this on the podcast, that like I don't feel like I should be allowed to listen to this. I don't feel, he was going through scream therapy at the time he was writing and recording the album, and there are moments where he just screams, and there's so much emotion just in these wordless sounds that like it's overwhelming at times. I actually thought I was gonna have this album ranked a little bit lower on my list, but I was literally like weeping while listening to the song Magical Thinking a couple weeks ago, and I was like, nope, this has to go up to number 2. It's that good. And so strong recommendation for this, even though it is kind of one of those albums that you maybe only want to listen to once if you are too overwhelmed by the emotions.
Yeah, I put off listening to this one for quite a while just due to the subject matter and knowing that it was going to be deeply affecting one way or the other. And it, like, for real, even if you are hesitant to listen to this, unless you feel like it is going to put you in a bad emotional way, I'd give it a shot. It's a really, really stellar record.
Yeah, the thing about it is that it fucking rocks. Like,
it does. It absolutely rules. Rocky Vodolato, really good. It turns out.
Yeah, like if this is, the guitar riffs are amazing. The whole album, he kind of talked about in an interview that I listened to, is like built around this. He found a guitar and a distortion pedal that he loved, and he was like, okay, this is the sound of the record. Every song is going to use this tone, and he nails it.
Yeah, it's so, like, it's so sonically distinct, and I didn't know that was the case, but that makes a lot of sense in retrospect.
Yeah, another band that I'm really hoping makes it out to the Midwest this year or next year, because I need to see these songs live.
Yeah, that it's going to be a lot, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. All right, what is your number 1?
No one is going to be surprised. It is The Future Is Here and Everything Needs to Be Destroyed by the Armed. I posted a little poll, well, not a poll, just an open-ended question of, hey, what's everyone's favorite album of the year? And maybe unsurprisingly, given how cool the Armed fan base has been to us and is still like on board with this podcast, a lot of people said this album, and they're correct too. I won't belabor it too long because we literally did an entire episode about this album, but I kind of alluded to this before. Like this record really kind of brings everything that I like about this band together into one package, and also manages to bring in some new elements too. Like I don't know that the Armed have another song quite like Heathen. Um, the prostitute feature on Broken Mirror is just incredible. Those two bands mesh so well. Got to see them perform that song together at the end of the tour that was occurring this year. That was like split across like multiple weekends over the course of the back half of the year. Megan O'Neill is like touring with the band right now too, so got to see her perform all these songs with them. She's a prominent figure on this album. I've loved her work for a very long time now. And like the record just, on top of being solid overall, just ends with like maybe the best 1-2 punch of penultimate and ultimate tracks from maybe any band ever. I don't want to go that far, but it like those songs really hit, and ending everything on a More Perfect Design just like brings everything home, especially given the way that this year has gone outside of music. Anybody who's listened to that song knows how the kind of coda that song goes, and how that might be an important mantra for a lot of people these days.
Yeah, so much of my list is because I kind of look at it, is like albums I loved because of how what they meant to me internally, personally, and this album, like we talked about on the episode, is so much about the exterior world and how you can exist in the world as it is, and then how you can make it into a better world. And it's an inspiring, really empowering, amazing album. It is. I mean, obviously, it's not on my top 10, but it is high up there in my honorable mentions, and I'm very glad that it's your number one.
Yeah, I it didn't feel right to have it anyplace else, honestly.
Yeah,
I was waffling between this and the Claire Rousey record, and this felt the most right. But like really, like truly, I don't like these top like few records are all like pretty close in my mind. Like it really has been a stellar year like that.
yeah.
But we've got one more to talk about, and I'm very excited to talk about it. What is your number one, Troy?
My number one is "No One Was Driving the Car" by La Dispute. This is the fifth La Dispute album, fifth or sixth, I guess, depending on whether you count Vancouver. This
Yeah,
is an album that La Dispute is a band I've loved for a really, really long time, since the Vancouver days, and saw like another band that I saw in a lot of like small venues, houses, and stuff like that growing up. And I've really loved everything they've done, but I kind of thought they went off the rails with Panorama. Did not ever really connect with that record. And then to see that they had a new one coming out, I liked the design work. I didn't listen to any singles. I was just like, or I think I listened to one single, but uh when the album finally got here, it just bowled me over completely, because it felt like they were able to recapture the energy and the feeling of listening to an early La Dispute record in 2008, and pair that with, again, kind of like what I said about Motion City Soundtrack, with a perspective and a way of looking at the world that only comes with being 15, 20 years older than you were when you started your band. And so much of this album is about control and about how much we are actually, how much control do we actually have over our own lives, and who is maybe driving the car. I mean, the title comes from a police report about a driverless Tesla crash, and which is kind of a haunting image in its own right. But they use that
yeah,
image to talk about technology and its role in our lives, talk about God and faith and its role in our lives. And there's a couple of songs on here that are sort of these 8-minute epic pieces that are kind of long stories and are just incredible. Some of the band's best work. I can't say enough good stuff about this album, but what do you think of it, Matt?
it's mind blowing how good this record is. I mean, clearly it's on my list, and is well deserved. I yeah, I don't want to like pit albums against each other, but like this is definitely my favorite since Wildlife, which is a hard album to top for me, but like this is, I think, in league with that record for sure. So yeah, my kind of like you, I didn't want to get too much exposure to this album before it came out, which was kind of difficult given the way they rolled it out, which was to say they released the entire album for the most part before it came out, except for like the last few songs.
They did it in acts. So like the
Yeah.
first, they did 3 songs and then 3 songs and 4 songs and however they did it. But yeah, like you said, I was not listening to the singles or the acts as they came out. I waited as much as I could for the whole album, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and honestly, in retrospect, I kind of wish I had to. I listened to the first 3 songs when they came out, when the record was announced, and then I was like, I'm not gonna listen to any more. And then people kept talking about environmental catastrophe film, and I was like, I gotta know. I have to know. And in ways, I was right to check it out, and in other ways, I kind of wish I'd had it like in context first. But like, I that kind of had me. In a weird way, I was like, can they do better than this on this record? And the answer is not necessarily, but they can do on par with that the rest of this record. And they do it over and over again, and it's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I mean, Environmental Catastrophe Film is my song of the year, I would say. Like, it is an exploration of kind of my favorite theme in all of art, which is how we are connected to and affected by the places that we live and how we in turn affect those places. And like, it is just that over hundreds of years in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I mean, I think it's just a song that if you've ever had any affection for Lotta Speed, or even if you ever not ever liked them, like this is like the one to check out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. And like, I know an 8-minute and 41-second song is daunting, but like, trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, and then there's 2 other like 8 minute songs on this record that are just as effective and just as amazing. No spoilers for the content of them, but really genuinely worth sitting down with the lyrics and digging into this record. It's one of the most rewarding, deep, really thematically interesting albums that I've listened to in a long time.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see them play this stuff live. Frankly, like I kind of just want them to play this record front to back next year. They won't do it, but I hope it'd be cool if they did.
I would not complain, except that I also want to hear them play a bunch of Rooms of the House stuff, because I haven't seen them really since like before that record came out.
That is fair. I think they will play a good mix of things, but I imagine there will be a heavy focus on this record, especially like when did Rooms of the House come out? Or sorry, when
2015
did Panorama
also.
come out?
Oh, Panorama was like 18, 19.
Okay, so it's been a while still.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, just absolutely incredible record. This band more or less remains undefeated. I don't return to Panorama much. I enjoyed it enough when it came out, but like, yeah, I'm mostly a like first handful of records person. But like, yeah, that we're so back if we were ever gone on this one.
Cool. We did it. We did our lists. But there's been lots of other great stuff this year. Do you want to shout out some honorable mentions?
Yeah, I do. I'll be as brief about these as possible. Including but not limited to some things that I talked about on earlier podcasts. One record I want to shout out is Paint by Opre Pompeii, local artist, occasional guest on Like What You Like, friends of the pod. Just a really great pop record from our friend Zach Weiss. I've seen them play some of these songs solo, but hearing like everything kind of fleshed out in its full Prince-inspired glory in some cases is really special. Also want to shout out the new Def Heaven record. It still rules, even though it wasn't on my list. Few records that I talked about on the podcast as random recommendations. The new Dijon record, Baby, really stellar. The new Matt Sage record, Tender Waiting, really great record that makes me want to learn how to play clarinet. Somewhat likewise, Patrick Shiroishi's Forgetting is Violent makes me want to learn how to play saxophone. The new Rosalia record that came out just a little while ago, I will never be able to afford to see her at the United Center, but I might check what tickets look like day of.
Yeah,
And
just
then
walk
just
over there and sneak in.
Yeah, I could. I live close enough. If I get kicked out? What am I gonna do? Go home? Exactly. But yeah, just a couple other ones. The new Shallow Water record, God's Gonna Give You $1,000,000. Just a really fun quote unquote dirt gaze record. Would recommend checking out. The Smut record, Tomorrow Comes Crashing. Really great record that reminds me of everything I like about 90s guitar rock. The new Snowcaps record, because the Crutchfields can do no wrong. My buddy Igor released a record called What It Means to Be a Body as Wounds. Really great electronic record that like kind of bridges the gap between what I love about dark ambient and what I love about, more dancey types of music. And then finally, the new record from Your Smith, The Rub, the first Your Smith record in a while, or the first thing from Caroline Smith in a while in general. Yeah, just really stellar stuff. Also, last minute edition, the new Clips record absolutely rules. For anybody who has followed that duo for a while, their comeback was just absolutely stellar. Wish I'd gone to their Salt Shed show. Sorry, that was
Awesome.
a lot.
That's okay. I have a lot of stuff to check out from this list. I talked a little bit about The Armed. You covered Snowcaps, a band, an album that I really, really loved. All Get Out put out a record this year that I think is awesome. It's actually not on streaming yet. I think it's only on their Bandcamp still. I love the new Pool Kids. The Lambrini Girls record is a pretty fascinating, vital album. I really liked this album Dream Ride by G Flip.
Oh, that one's so fun.
Yeah, that album rocks. Reminds me a lot of Bleachers, very much like a windows down, singing really loud album. Our friends at Empty Heaven put out a record called Swear this year, among a number of other. I think he put out like 6 records this year, but Swear is a really cool, pretty heavy album. There is, we didn't really talk about the sort of pop music discourse this year. How there was a whole critical chatter about how there was no like song of the summer, no pop album really caught the zeitgeist outside of Taylor Swift just by virtue of being Taylor Swift. But like,
Right.
I of all the sort of pop records that were in the spotlight for a minute, the Lorde record, Virgin, really stood out to me. I love how that record sounds. I really like her voice, and that one felt like a return to form to me after not really digging Solar Power.
Yeah, I feel like that got a little lost in the shuffle this year, maybe very unfairly, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. And Laura Stevenson's Late Great, a really wonderful album from, again, one of the best out there. I got a few EPs. I didn't put any EPs on my list, but Spanish Love Songs, A Brief Intermission, and The Flattening of Time would certainly have been a contender. Love the Wonder Years, Burst and Decay, and Spitalfield has their first new music in a long time with Play and Record, an album or an EP that I really recommend checking out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Lots of stuff to check out. We should talk a little bit about next year, though.
Yeah.
What are some of your most anticipated albums coming up next year?
Well, I'll say right up top, I think one for both of us, a huge one for both of us, so much so that we're doing a series because of it, is the new Format record, Boycott Heaven.
Yeah.
I am very, very excited about that one. There's going to be a new Converge record in the new year. I think it's called Love Is Not Enough. I didn't write down the titles of these records, and that was maybe not smart. But it's going to whip. The single absolutely rules, and Converge is only capable of sounding like Converge unless they bring in somebody else.
Their audio tree is so sick.
It's so sick. And they played another new song on that one, and it sounds amazing. Yeah, incredible band. One of the best doing it to ever have done it, etc., etc. But a couple more, a couple locals. One, very excited about the new Broken Left Foot album. I may or may not have heard songs from it already, and they may or may not be really, really, really fucking good. I mentioned earlier Macy Stewart and Leah Cole. They have a trio with Whitney Johnson, and they are going to be releasing a record sometime next year. I have it on decent authority that it would be sooner rather than later. But yeah, very excited about that. And also there's going to be a new Juliana Barwick and Mary Lattimore collaborative album called Tragic Magic coming out next month. That's easily one of my most anticipated records of the year, but definitely one of my most anticipated shows of the year. They're going to be playing Talia Hall in March, and I'm very stoked.
Sweet.
Yeah. What about you? What are you looking forward to here?
Let's see. You've got the new Joyce Manor coming out right around in January. Very similar time as the format. Love the singles from that record. New Rat Boys coming out later this spring. Sweet Pill. We talked about Converge. The Menzingers have said they have something coming. Jimmy Eat World, I think, has been recording.
They have to have
because
something.
it's been way too long since we've had new Jimmy Eat World. Spanish Love Songs is making a record soon, and then I think Joie de V has one. Park has some stuff recorded. You know, a lot of bands I love. Is there anyone that we have covered on this podcast who has a new record coming out next year? I don't think so. I mean, My Chemical Romance obviously has a new record coming out next year. We know that.
Perpetually, MCR5 is coming out soon, I swear.
Yeah. That's a good question. Who's going to be the next artist that we've covered to release a new album?
Oh man, that's a really good question.
Honestly, it's probably going to be The Armed.
It's probably going to be the Armed is the most realistic one. Aspirationally, I mean, we would both obviously love to see a Rilo Kiley record. I feel like that's not out of the realm of possibility, but it also doesn't seem that likely. Just given that they're still kind of doing the nostalgia tour into next year. Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be a Paramore album, obviously.
Yeah, Rise Against is going to take a couple years. Bright Eyes probably the same.
Yeah.
I don't know, New Thursday record, I can dream.
You know what? I believe that it can happen. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't think it'll be next year, but I think they will get to a point where they're like, maybe we should just write an album. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else for the end of this podcast?
No, it's been great doing this for a little over a year now, and I'm really excited to continue here. I'm especially excited for our next series. Really excited to talk about the format and fun specifically. Two bands that I absolutely adore.
Yeah, same. It's gonna be a good one. All right. So obviously we've got Interventions and Lullabies with the format coming up next week. In the meantime, you can find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com or follow us on Instagram at noisefloorpod and send us mail at noisefloorpodcast@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.
See y'all next week.